Happy Monday! It is September. And if you have been plugging into the page, you have seen that this month, hilariously, I feel like we always do some sort of September shift, and it's always got, leaves and pumpkin spice lattes and people wearing scarves. And it's funny, yes, in Georgia, it's still 80 degrees and ridiculous outside, so that always feels a little premature. But Plexus came out with this whole Maui state of mind, and I thought that was such a perfect balance of the two, is like to be able to focus on our mindset, which we always try to do in September. It's after all of the big contests and going into a season where we get to decide to be active in our business, because it's less organic growth typically in the winter, but it has changed from year to year, so we never want to just write off the winter months, right? But I love that they picked Maui State of Mind, and that's because September is the month for Maui. So for those of you who don't know, or maybe haven't been around or have seen through the comp plan, when you go Emerald, which is our first jewel rank, you earn a free trip to Maui. There was one year they did Hawaii, but right now Maui is here. And that is just, it's been such a blessing. So this year is going to be our third year to go. We leave on the 12th and we'll get back on the 20th, just with travel days and all of that. But I do not want to go without you guys next year. So this Maui State of Mind is a lot of just reminding ourselves why we're here, but also, like I said in the post yesterday, it's so much less about the how, and we focus on the how a lot. How do we post? How do we message? What do we say in those messages? How do we follow up, and how do we take care of our people, and what systems are we going to use, and are we going to do 7-day trials, and are we going to plug into this and this, and this? And while the systems and all of that is important, we know enough of that stuff, and there is enough of that information available to us to be successful. And so often we start with the how and we forget to address the why and our mindset behind why we think we're not able to, or why we think we're not good enough, or all of the excuses we give ourselves that are rooted in this fear that is typically going back to something that's holding us back that we're not even really happening. A lot of our excuses of busyness, or not being able to find time, that is true, but everybody is busy, right? So we this month are going to focus on what are those excuses really saying to us, and what are our thoughts really communicating to us that make us feel like Maui is for other people and not for us, right? Like what is making you feel like Maui 2020 is not possible? Because do you know what? I'm looking at all of you on here. Almost all of you are gold or above. And if you are gold by the end of the year, Maui next year is 100% doable. Like, truthfully, people have gone Emerald in 5 months. So even if you haven't started this business, it's doable. People have done it. And the biggest thing that's going to hold us back is what's in between our ears, and what we allow to dictate our actions, which is our thoughts, our mindset, and our core beliefs. And so we are going through this Maui state of mind, because what's keeping us from where we are and where we want to be, whether that's Ruby, whether that's just covering your mortgage, or whether that is going Emerald and going to Maui next year. For me, that's going Diamond and having multiple jewels on my team. Like that's my dream, is to see you guys succeed, right? And reaching your goals. What's keeping us from where we are and where we want to be, and where we feel like God is calling us to be, and allowing us to be, is these thoughts that run through our head that keep us from growing and keep us from stepping into that. And this book does an amazing job looking at a biblical approach to what God really thinks about success and the gifts that he's given us, and how we misconstrue the word stewardship to be synonymous with saving or keeping this level of something. And truthfully, biblically, stewardship is growing and multiplying, right? And doing something with the gifts and talents and opportunities God gives us. And so that's what this book is going to look at. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So first, let's go over Maui State of Mind. Plexus-wise, they have done some amazing prizes for us. And there is a surprise that I get to throw out to you that will be announced, I think, tomorrow. So it's another 369. So by adding 3 people, 6 people, or 9 people to your team, and it can be a mesh of customers and ambassadors. If you're using customers to qualify for these prizes, then it has to be an initial order of 50 PV or more, which is great because it used to be 75 PV, I think, for a lot of these. So 50 PV, it cuts that down, and you can do finagle a few different ways to get that done. So the great thing is, so the prizes are, the first one's jewelry, either Kate Spade earrings or bracelet, a Fossil wristband or card holder, an Alex and Annie bracelet. I don't know how to say A-N-I, I'm pretty sure it's Annie. Refer back to your email if you're confused about any of those. And if you sponsor 6, again, a mesh of customers or ambassadors that qualify, you get those jewelry options and olukais. So you guys, these are actual gifts that they have given us in Maui. So I wear my olukais that I earned or they gave us my first year in Maui. I wear them all the time. I got the brown ones. And so they're these just like amazing, handcrafted, wonderful flip-flops, or there's tennis shoe options. There's so many cute ones. And so I just love that they're actually giving like real gifts that they give us, and now I think it's just super cool. And so then 9 is adding on some designer sunglasses, which is what our gift was last year, and you get to pick from 3 different brands of those as well. And I get to announce to you that if you do these with all ambassadors and not mixing up customers, you actually get to pick 2 prizes from each level. So if you sign 3 ambassadors with welcome packs, you get to pick 2 of the jewelry options. If you sign 6 ambassadors, that means you get to pick 2 jewelry options and 2 different pairs of shoes. If you do 9 all ambassadors, you're getting basically 6 gifts that way. So 2 different designer pairs of sunglasses. So that is super exciting. So you will be all set for you and your spouse to be traveling with you to Maui next year, or just looking stylish at home. Like, these are such fun gifts, and I'm so excited about that. So again, while we are focusing on our mindset in September, which we usually like to do, that doesn't mean that we don't work our business. We, as people who have committed to growing our business and who, again, are trying to understand how to steward this opportunity well, the first part of that is consistency. There may be months where we are going really hard for a goal, but there should never be a month where we let everything fall to the wayside and completely step away from our business if you're intending to grow. There is a different level of that and what that looks like based on where your trajectory is, of where your goals are, but consistency is always important. And so this month, I love that we are incentivized to just grow our business, right? Even just hitting ALA, you're going to be able to pick some amazing prizes, or not even ALA, you can do a mixture of customers and ambassadors and still be able to win some great prizes for being consistent and growing your business this month. So let's take a turn and talk about this book and why we chose it. And I say we, I mean me. I chose this book because I do not like to read. I probably need to get my eyes checked. I was just talking to a few people about this week because I fall asleep every time I sit down to read. So for those of you who are like, either yourself or you have someone on your team who's like, I just don't have time to read, or I don't have time to do the book, or I just can't read, I get you. I hear you. I've read like maybe 2.5 books like in 12 months. So I understand. It looks like I froze. Can you hear me? I'll keep going just so if you can hear me, it's fine. But this book is one that I read last year, and I say read, I mean I listened to it. Uh-oh, can you guys hear me? I'm so sorry. Someone text me if it's fine or if it's not fine, because my phone is right here, but the computer is frozen. Am I frozen? Okay, you can hear me. Perfect. I will keep going. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I was mowing the yard earlier this year, I think it was early this year, and I listened to this whole book. I was so proud of myself, you guys, because again, that just does not happen very often for me. And I kind of hated that I was doing it while I was mowing the grass because I couldn't underline anything. I was like having to stop, like sweat dripping in my eyes, and I was trying to like write things in my notes because there are nuggets of gold on almost every single page of this book. And I'm sure a lot of other books are like that too. And I'm like, man, I should read more often. But this book really stuck out to me because of its Christian viewpoint on success and on stewarding opportunities. And you guys, that's what we talk about all the time, right? We say that God gave us this opportunity. For us, he dropped this in my lap. And it is on us to meet him at that gift and steward it well and thank him, and with gratitude walk it out. So in chapter 1, I know some of you don't even have your books yet, and that is totally fine. I want you to plug into these Zooms and live calls even if you have not been able to read the chapters yet, because what we're going to talk about, you're still going to be able to write down these quotes and be excited to read through what he's talking about when you get your book. But man, I basically could have underlined most of this first chapter. And we've only got 15 minutes. I was going to read through the actual Bible story about Benaiah, but, you know, it's called In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. And I mess that up all the time, and Brandon laughs at me. I usually say in a snowy pit, or like in a pit with a snowy lion, or something crazy like that. It's a long title, but In a Pit, right? And it's about this random obscure story of this guy who's just briefly mentioned in scripture, not a whole lot of detail, but dude legitimately chases a lion into a pit on a snowy day and comes out victorious and ends up being the head of the guard of King David with no other, you know, resources or recommendations. Like, that was it. And so this part right here on page 16, if you've got your book, but in chapter 1, he says, right at the outset, let me share one of my core convictions. And this, again, remember, we're talking about our mindset and all of these things, but also our core beliefs that we don't even realize we think through. So I love that he gives us some of his core convictions, because these are truths that we can like nail down in and then can believe and think things through, right? So one of his core conviction is that God is in the business of strategically positioning us in the right place at the right time. But he says, but here's the catch. The right place often seems like the wrong place, and the right time often seems like the wrong time. Can we get an amen? How many of us are like, my life is nuts. I am like barely keeping my head above water, and this is like one more thing that I have to put on my stove and keep watch over. Like, it's too much. Sometimes it feels like the wrong place at the wrong time, and we can associate that to many things in our life, but specifically we're going to be talking about our business, right? But for God, it's never the wrong place and the wrong time, right? There is always a purpose. And the other thing that I loved that kind of goes right with that is that God is in the resume building business. Like, it doesn't matter what failure or success comes out of the opportunities he places in front of us, because every one of them is a building our resume for something he has for us and for our families and for others in the future, whether that's to impact other people or to grow ourselves. So I just loved that part. Did anyone else like amen the heck out of that sentence when you were listening or reading to it? And to be clear, I listen to this book and then I go back and read and underline things. And if I'm in a good spot, I will listen and read, because I have to have someone reading to me. So yeah, he says, God is on page 18, God is in the resume building business. He is always using past experiences to prepare us for future opportunities. Well, that's such an encouragement. All of this growth and all of these hard things we come against, yes, it is going to help you grow your Plexus business, but what if God has something even further? What if you go diamond, and diamond is not the end goal for you? Like, God has so much more for you than becoming a Plexus diamond. What if an entire ministry flows out of it, and because of your leadership skills and your speaking abilities or your social media knowledge that he has gifted you with this whole journey, what if that turns into like this massive ministry that grows the kingdom? Like, we just don't even know and cannot even fathom what God has in store for us. And this is a part of our journey that we get to be faithful with and grow through, so that God can do what he wants to do through us. And it may be this, you know, it may be that he has incredible things and purposes in this. And I firmly believe that there are, because why? God is always in the people business, and we are dealing with people on a daily basis. So then my other favorite thing right under that says, how we react when we encounter those lions will determine our destiny. We can cower in fear and run away from our greatest challenges, or we can chase our God-ordained destiny by seizing God-ordained opportunities. That is so big. Now, where did this go? Are you guys there? Sorry. It like went away from full page. And that's a big one for me, because a lot of times I hesitate in that place of fear. And truthfully, what does that say about how we view God when we get stuck in those places and we don't forge ahead, trusting him and you know, allowing him to do what he's going to do? And we say, nope, I'm not good enough. I don't know how to do this. I can't handle this. Then that means we're not that we can ever thwart his like end result goal that he is going for, but we for sure are not enjoying that process of him using us to do great things, right? And then on the next page, where it says, those are the moments that I came alive. Those were the moments when God set the stage, and those were the moments that changed the trajectory of my life. You guys, this business can change the trajectory of your family's financial future. It can change the trajectory of your life, and probably already has, because of your health and what you're able to do and how you're able to be present in your life and in what else God has put in front of you. But also you're able to pass that on and change the trajectory of someone else's lives in both of those areas and more. Y'all, we're not just helping people in their wealth and in their health. Like, those are our two main things, because we have a business opportunity and we have products, right? You are also offering a community. You are offering encouragement. You are offering a lifeline to someone who may be super depressed or super anxious and like stuck in their life. You may be offering salvation for someone who has never met Jesus. Like, you just don't know all of the millions of ways what we are doing and what we choose to walk forward in every day can bless you and bless someone else. So I love that. Those are the moments that change the trajectory of his life and of our lives. These scary moments, these lions that he's chasing. And this no guts, no glory place, I really did love how he talked about sins of omission and sins of commission, and that we do focus on a lot of the times like not doing things wrong, or not, don't sin, or don't do this, like don't do this. But he's like, a lot of things are sins of omission, where we're like, he says, you can do nothing wrong, but still do nothing right. And for me, that really hit home, because I'm like, well, I'm not doing bad, but I'm really not doing a lot of times what I know I could and should be doing to really steward the opportunity well. Or you can look at that in a lot of different areas of your life. He says, our calling is much higher than simply running away from what is wrong. We're called to chase lions. We're called to live big and believe big and dream big with God. There's an old aphorism, no guts, no glory. When we don't have the guts to step out in faith and chase lions, then God is robbed of the glory that rightfully belongs to him. It was so crazy when I was listening to this. I'm going to underline this, because Brandon and I legitimately have been talking about all areas in our life where we're just like, okay, or, he meets with a little guy about worship ministry once a week. And he's like, you're doing great, but what are you doing to learn? Like, what are you doing to grow in your worship leadership or in your instrumental playing? Like, because again, stewardship is not just about saving and burying the talents and not letting it get any worse, or not losing money. It's about growing things. And just as he says here, like, God is glorified in all of those things, in our marriages, in our homes, like when we take the extra time to clean the toilets and steward our home well, right? Like, he is glorified in our attitude and in our posture of our hearts in those moments. It's not about the outcome. He's not just glorified when we are standing on a stage after a massive success and say, to God be the glory. Like, that's not what this means. It means in our life, in our choices, in the moment-to-moment things, are we glorifying God with our heart, with our mind, and with the activity that we do in faith to do things that we know would glorify him, or to steward the things, the time, gifts, and talents that he's given us to steward those well. So that was huge. I have a big heart and a big parentheses around that. To me, is like, when we don't have the guts to just step out in faith and do the things, even when it's hard, even when we're scared, fighting a lion in a pit on a snowy day, right? Like that's hard. That's a scary thing. But if we don't step out and do those things and trust with him, then he is robbed of the glory that rightfully belongs to him. And y'all, as followers of Christ, like we are on this earth to give God glory. Like we breathe and we are here to provide him the glory that he is due, right? And so we can do that with our businesses. We can do that with each other as we encourage each other. And that just really stuck out to me. I hope that was something that was helpful for you too. I thought this was another good part. We are inspired by people who face their fears and chase their dreams. And what we fail to realize is that they are no different from us. I think sometimes, and you can raise your hand if you get caught up in this too, we love to see the stories of the overcomers, right? We love to see the people that went emerald in 5 months, and we love to see the people that fought through it for 4 years or 5 years and made it to emerald. Like we love to see other people's stories and we're inspired by them. And sometimes we put them on a pedestal and then make a mental list of why they can do it and why we can't, right? Or what they had or didn't have that we had or didn't have. And exactly what he's saying here is what we fail to realize is that they are no different from us. We have all things for life and godliness, and he is the same to that person as he is to you, as he is to me, and we have the same opportunity to come across those things. Now, of course, everyone's journey does look different, but what we're talking about here is the opportunity and going after and stewarding what God gives us and what God has given us and stewarding that stuff well. So that was good, especially for us. We love to share testimonies and all the Diamond documentaries and all the things, but to not get in that mental game of other people are lion chasers and I'm just not, right? That's not a game that we need to be playing. And I loved his simple definition for success on this last page here, page 21, if you're following along. He says, I have a simple definition of success. Man, and I just want to like recreate my definition of success in my brain every time I read this. Do the best that you can with what you have where you are. In essence, success is making the most of every opportunity. Spiritual maturity is seeing and seizing God-ordained opportunities. Think of each opportunity as God's gift to you. And what you do with those opportunities is your gift back to God. Like, that changes everything, right? Like, it's not just about chasing a goal or chasing a dollar amount or chasing a rank or any of these things that can make us feel like, is this a worthy thing to be doing? Or am I just like, grasping at this because I want it? And it's like, we are called to do everything as unto the Lord, like unto the glory of God. And I love that he says that. Think of every opportunity as God's gift to you. That next rank and the ability to reach it, that is a gift to you and to your family and to whoever is joining your team and reaching their goals underneath you. And what we do with it and how grateful we are and how we go after those things are our gift and our praise and our gratitude that we are able to give back to him. And I just need to like tattoo that right on my forehead, because some of us are 1s and 3s and 8s, and you're like, I go after things with gusto and I have to pull myself back. And then there's me, who's a 6 on the Enneagram, and I'm like, I am so easy to settle and not go after things. And so for you guys who do go after things, stop second guessing yourself. Like, that opportunity is a gift from the Lord. Like, go after it and don't be apologetic and love people through the process, right? And for the rest of us who find it hard to set goals and go after them, that is a praise and worship of the opportunity that he has given us, and to glorify him in each action step that we take to reach those goals is our gift back to God. And I love that so much. That was so huge. All right. I didn't want to just totally be reading to you. What time is it? 8:58. We're doing good. I just had one little more thing. So this back page was just great. It's like, hey, this book is going to teach us like steps in order to overcome these things, but it's just as much about unlearning fears and embracing uncertainty as it is about just like going gung-ho. Because for a lot of us, that's 32 years of mental backwardness, right? And fear that I have to unlearn in a lot of these instances in order to trust God and go after big things. So to have this counterintuitive approach to life, because it is counterintuitive, y'all. Lion chasers are not the norm. We settle. As people, we settle, and we settle hard for so much less than I feel like God desires for us to have in ourselves, in our own minds. Like we are called to live in joy. You think of all the fruits of the Spirit, and how often do we feel those or emulate those on a daily basis? Like that's what God wants for us. You know, so in all things, that is counterintuitive to what we typically feel on a daily basis. And so I'm excited for the rest of this book and what the pages of this book hold. And I hope that you are too. If you don't have your book yet, hopefully it's on the way. If not, order it ASAP. And I really want to encourage you to grab 2 to 3 people that are on your team, if you don't have more than that, and encourage them to do this with you. Y'all, we don't do a whole lot of personal growth as a group, but this book is one that I'm just really passionate about because we have a lot of strong Christian men and women here who I truly believe that God has given this business as an opportunity, but our brain can get in the way of going after that blessing because of scarcity mindset, poverty mindset, or I'm not good enough for all of these things, right? And that is not where we need to be. So I am excited about the rest. As you saw on the post today, there will be a Zoom every Monday night at 8:30. So go ahead and pencil those in. I will not be leading the next few. We will have some other leaders on our team. Our Ruby leaders will be leading Zooms, and then our Goals and Above leaders, other leaders on our team, will be doing live videos on our Business Essentials page, and we're going to be reaching out to the rest of those to get those filled in on Wednesdays and Fridays. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're going to hear another chapter. So by Wednesday, go up through chapter 2 at least. And Mary Catherine's going to be on Wednesday. She has already committed to do that for us. So we'll tune in and hear her thoughts. And again, just like us, we're just going to be going over the highlights of the chapter. And there's even a chapter review in the back, and then her feelings on what that has meant to her and her business and in her life as well. And we'll do that for each chapter. And then we will round out the month with final thoughts and a big discussion on what this book has meant to you and some action steps that you're going to be taking based on what he gives us in this book in order to utilize the rest of this year like we did last year to lay a foundation for massive growth in 2020. Because there is no reason any face on this call that I'm looking at right now, if you desire to be in Maui, or you desire to be a Jewel for any reason, whether it's to be in Maui or because your family financially would be so blessed by a 6-figure income, or because, you know what, God gave me this opportunity, and if they can, I can. If he's telling me that I can, then I can, right? And why would we not go after it? You can do it next year. Like, you absolutely can. You could do it by the end of this year if you wanted to. But remember, we want to utilize these winter months to make sure we are laying that foundation of activity. And activity doesn't start on our phone. Activity doesn't start when we're typing messages. Activity starts here, because getting this right means that we have a heart that is willing to do the work even when we don't see the fruit, right? And that's going to set us up for an amazing year next year and to round out this year really well. So I love you guys so much, and I'm so thankful that you chose to be here. It is 9:03, so thank you for staying a couple of minutes late. And I just am very excited to walk this out with you and to get into that Maui state of mind. I'm loving it, and hope that you will stick this out with us this month and see what really comes of learning this together. Love you. Bye, y'all.